You know the difference between someone who simply dislikes you and someone who is willing to trade 3 months of their own life, their own paycheck, their own comfort, to get your photo, take it to a powerful witch, and specifically request your total destruction at every level of your life. The first person complains, gossips, throws shade when you're not in the room, and then moves on. The second person doesn't move on. The second person turns dislike into fixation, fixation into hunger, and hunger into a plan. That kind of hatred doesn't feel like a mood. It feels like an obsession that has grown teeth. And when that second type of person decides to come for you through spiritual means using your actual image as a doorway, something shocking happens. But the shock doesn't land on you, it lands on them. Because exactly 6 days ago, while you were sleeping like any other night, while your mind was quiet and your body was resting, your face was sitting on a dark altar somewhere, pinned down in more ways than one. A practitioner leaned over your photograph in candlelight and your full name was spoken again and again 144 times, without stopping, like a code being typed into a lock. This is not a spooky story told to entertain you. This is the anatomy of a spiritual attack that was planned, paid for, and executed with a clear goal: to damage your mind, your peace, your health, your relationships, your money, your reputation, your future, your sense of self, all of it, at once. Now ask yourself, who would do that? Who would take their time, their energy, their money, and pour it into an attempt to destroy you? What kind of mind does that require? What kind of inner darkness grows so comfortable that it begins to feel entitled to your downfall? And how did they get the exact photo they needed? The one that holds your current energy. The one that actually connects. And what really happened when the spell tried to reach you but encountered protection not even the most experienced witch could have anticipated? Subscribe to this channel right now and activate the notification bell. What I'm about to reveal will change how you see everything. Who has your photo saved with dark intentions? How they spent weeks stalking every image you uploaded to find the perfect photo with exact energy they needed. And why the spell not only failed but returned with force so brutal there's literally a dead body in this story, and that body definitely isn't you. What I'm about to reveal is going to completely change your perception about the type of invisible battles you're winning without even knowing they're occurring. Stay with me, because I'm going to lay it out clearly: how the attack was built, why the photograph matters, why the person who did it is closer than you think, what the spell was meant to do, what it actually did, what symptoms the sender began to carry when the energy snapped back, and what truth about your spiritual identity was confirmed the moment the curse hit your field and bounced off like a bullet off armored steel. If in the last 10 days you felt sudden fatigue that sleep didn't fix, had dreams where familiar people stared at you with hatred, or sensed eyes on you when no one was there, you already know the number. Write 777 in the comments, not as superstition, but as a signal, a declaration that you recognize what's happening and you refuse to shrink. First, you need to understand something about this kind of work that most people will never take seriously until it's too late. When someone pays real money, tracks down your specific photo, and brings it to a practitioner with a reputation, we are not talking about casual irritation. This isn't someone having a bad day. This isn't a passing jealous thought. This is hatred that was cultivated slowly, watered in private, fed with comparison, and turned into an obsession over months, sometimes years. A person doesn't wake up one morning and decide to spend the equivalent of an entire season of their salary just to see you crumble unless something in them has been rotting for a long time. And here's what nobody tells you, because most people don't know, and the people who do know don't talk about it publicly. Obtaining the right photo is not easy. Any random image won't work. A group photo where you're in the background doesn't carry a direct line. A blurry picture doesn't hold enough clarity. An old photo from a decade ago where your face, your life, your frequency, your identity were different doesn't connect strongly enough for serious work. Practitioners who know what they're doing require specificity. They want a recent image. They want you alone. They want your face completely visible. They want a natural expression, not a mask. Ideally, they want direct eye contact with the camera because eyes carry signature. They want the moment where your energy is caught honestly, because that moment becomes a bridge. Why does it matter? Because a photo is not just paper and ink. A photo, when it contains your present likeness clearly, behaves like an energetic address. It links physical reality and subtle reality. It doesn't just represent you, it points to you. It holds a snapshot of your vibrational field. And when an experienced practitioner holds that image and begins to work with it, they aren't imagining you. They aren't working with a symbol of you. They're attempting to connect directly to you, to your current life force, your current emotional body, your current path, your current protections. That's why people who know how this works don't play with photographs lightly. The person who targeted you understood that. That's why they didn't just save any image. They hunted. They spent weeks, maybe months, obsessively going through your social media the way an investigator goes through a case file. Multiple visits per day, every story you posted, every update, every picture, every angle. They downloaded what you uploaded. They zoomed in. They compared. They waited. Not because they were interested in your life in a healthy way, but because they were searching for a particular type of image, the one where your light was visible. You remember that photo from about 2 months ago. You know the one. The picture where you weren't forcing anything, where your smile happened naturally, where you looked good without trying too hard, where your eyes looked clear, where there was peace on your face. It got more reactions than usual. People commented that you looked radiant, that you looked different, that you looked like you were finally in a better place. Some people admired it. One person resented it. That's the photo they wanted. Not a photo where you looked tired, not a photo where you looked stressed, not a photo where you looked vulnerable. They wanted you shining, because practitioners of dark work know a grim principle. If a curse takes hold on someone who is currently thriving, the contrast is brutal. It's like pushing someone off a high place. The fall hurts more. The shock is greater. The narrative looks uglier. The destruction feels more complete. So the attacker didn't choose your worst moment. They chose your brightest moment. They wanted the fall to be from as high as possible. And what did they do when they finally found the perfect photo? They didn't just screenshot it. They downloaded it at maximum quality, saved it in multiple places like someone protecting a valuable document. Then they went to a professional printing store, not a cheap print on common paper, a high-quality photographic print, larger than normal, crisp, clear, expensive. They paid money for it, money they could have used on their own life, money they chose instead to invest in your destruction. They came back days later, collected the envelope like it was something precious, and held it close. For days, sometimes weeks. That photo sat in their wallet or their bag, near their body, near their energy, absorbing their obsession. Every time they opened the wallet, there you were, your face, your smile, your peace. And in that twisted mind, it didn't create inspiration. It created rage. It created the fantasy of finally fixing the discomfort they felt whenever you existed confidently. They carried your picture like a weapon, waiting for the right moment, waiting for the date the practitioner would choose, waiting for the hour when the ritual would be strongest. Now you want to know who this person is. And here's where people get uncomfortable, because the mind wants an obvious villain. The mind wants a clear enemy, an ex who left angry, a competitor who admits they're threatened, a stranger who openly dislikes you. But that's not usually who goes this far. The person who does this is rarely the one you expect. It's not the declared enemy everyone knows. It's not the person who shouts their hatred from the rooftops. It's the person who smiles when they see you. The person who speaks to you normally. The person who can stand close enough to you to gather details without raising suspicion. It's someone who has access. Someone who knows your routines. Someone who knows your weak spots. Someone who can ask casual questions and get real answers. Someone who can watch you succeed and clap with their hands while their heart tightens. Someone who congratulates you while privately celebrating every small setback you experience. It could be a friend whose concern always carries a sting, whose compliments always have a hidden blade. It could be a family member who belittles you as a joke and calls you sensitive when you notice. It could be a colleague who pretends to collaborate but quietly hopes you fail. It could be an acquaintance who tracks your life with disturbing attention, learning your patterns the way a scientist studies an experiment. They didn't improvise this. They didn't act impulsively. They executed a method. They investigated discreetly, asked the right people in the right circles who had the strongest reputation, who was known for results, who wasn't a fake. They didn't want an amateur. They wanted someone who could do real work. And when they found that practitioner, they booked the consultation, chose the date, prepared the payment, and arrived with your photograph hidden away and enough money to cover whatever was required. Do you understand what that means? They spent the equivalent of 3 full months of minimum wage on a single spiritual operation aimed at you. Read that again and let it sink into your bones. 3 months of labor. 3 months of earning. 3 months of survival money. Given away for one purpose: to try to break you. That's not casual jealousy. That is devotion to your downfall. And what does that reveal about you, whether you realize it or not? It reveals that your very existence disrupts something in them. Your growth threatens their inner narrative. Your light makes their darkness visible. Your peace exposes their chaos. Sometimes people don't hate you because you harmed them. Sometimes they hate you because you didn't break what they expected you to. Because you kept rising. Because you kept shining. Because you reminded them of what they refused to become. When they entered the practitioner's space for the first time, the atmosphere made it clear this wasn't entertainment. Dark tones on the walls, deep reds nearly black in corners. Candles everywhere, black and red, some tall, some small, all lit, casting restless shadows. The smell of herbs burned with intention, thick and sharp. Images on the walls that made the stomach tighten. An energy so heavy you could feel it in your chest even if you didn't believe in any of this. The practitioner greeted them with cold professionalism, the kind of calm you see in people who have done something so many times it no longer shocks them. Eyes that had seen too much. Hands that had performed acts most people wouldn't even speak about out loud. A presence built from years of dealing with forces most try to pretend don't exist. The practitioner didn't ask, "Why do you want to do this?" Real practitioners aren't therapists. They are operators. In that world, it's transactional. You pay. They work. No questions. No moral speech. The photograph was placed on the table, and the moment the practitioner truly studied your image, something shifted. A micro pause. The smallest hesitation. As if, for a fraction of a second, they recognized an energetic mark, a seal, a kind of warning. But the money was already there, laid out like permission. So the practitioner took the photo, looked at it longer, and asked the ritual question that professionals ask when they sense risk. Are you absolutely certain? Because once the work begins, there is no undoing. In that realm, intention is a contract. The attacker answered without hesitating, with a hatred so open it was almost impressive in its ugliness. Do whatever is necessary. Destroy their life completely. No limits. The practitioner nodded, placed the photo in a special place, counted the money with methodical calm, and said flatly, "Return in 7 days. It will be done." But here is what the practitioner did not explain, or perhaps didn't want to explain because it would have threatened the payment. When you target someone who carries real protection, the spell doesn't just fail quietly. It is detected. It is scanned. It is identified. Its energetic ingredients are read like code. Its origin is traced. The entire path back to the sender is mapped, and then the force returns along that path, not weaker but amplified, matching the original intent with exact precision. This isn't a movie version of karma. It's law. It's consequence. It's spiritual physics operating with an accuracy that does not care what anyone believes. For the next 7 nights, the practitioner worked with discipline. Every night at the same hour, around 3 a.m., the time often chosen for dark operations because the world is quieter and human attention is lower. Candles were lit in a specific formation, your photograph placed at the center of the altar. The ritual lasted roughly 2 hours each night. On the first night, pins were pressed into specific points of your image, each insertion slow, deliberate, paired with words meant to program the intention. One pin aimed at your mind to create confusion, wrong decisions, fog. One aimed at your heart to stir grief, betrayal, isolation. Pins aimed at your hands to disrupt work, money, projects. Pins aimed at your feet to block movement, to trap you in place, to make progress feel impossible. Another aimed at your name, your core identity, a direct attempt to strike the root of who you are. Each pin was a command. Each command was a demand made of the unseen. On the second night, the work intensified. Herbs were burned around the photograph, plants chosen in dark traditions for disruption, for breaking calm, for cracking defenses. Smoke rolled over your image while your full name was spoken again and again 144 times, because repetition is not drama in ritual. It is programming. It is an insistence. It is a hammer against a door. On the third night, personal residue was added, something small that carried energetic trace. A piece of paper you touched, a napkin, a thread, something that held a whisper of your frequency. On the fourth night, deeper invocations were made, calling on heavier forces, promising offerings, negotiating for impact. On the fifth night, liquids were poured over the photograph. Substances believed in those traditions to intensify destructive power. On the sixth night, the practitioner sealed the work, binding the intentions into one concentrated mass. On the seventh night, they activated everything at once, launching the accumulated force like an energetic projectile meant to travel straight through subtle dimensions and attach itself to your life. The requests were specific: humiliation at work, loss of job, sudden health decline with no diagnosis, relationships breaking through misunderstandings, money draining through unexpected expenses, anxiety that paralyzes, sleep that never restores, food that never nourishes, life that feels empty even while you're still breathing. It was not a small curse. It was a blueprint for personal hell. Now here is where everything begins to make sense. During those 7 nights, what were you feeling? Remember the week that started about 6 days ago, where you felt tired in a way that didn't match your schedule, where you slept enough but woke up drained, where your mind felt wrapped in fog, where small things irritated you more than they should, where your chest felt heavy for no reason, where your dreams got vivid and strange, like someone was trying to enter through your subconscious, where you had that unsettling sense of being watched, even alone. That wasn't random stress. That wasn't just a bad week. That was your system responding. Real protection is not passive like a wall. It is active like a living intelligence. It detects threats in real time. It identifies the type of attack, the level of intensity, the signature. It responds proportionally. It doesn't wait for you to understand. It doesn't need your permission to defend you. When the first wave of that curse was launched, your protection didn't simply stand there and hope. It intercepted. It examined the energetic composition. It traced the line back to the source. It began the return. But your body still felt the pressure because your physical system is the instrument your spirit uses to live here. When intense spiritual defense activates, your nervous system can register it as fatigue, fog, chest pressure, odd dreams, sudden mood shifts. Not because you're weak, but because something in you is working hard to keep you safe. That exhaustion was not your collapse. It was your shield moving. Your confusion was not your defeat. It was your field recalibrating under attack. It was war being won in your favor while your conscious mind was just trying to get through the day. And then the seventh night arrived. The final activation. The biggest push. The practitioner released everything confident because confidence is what professionals sell. The energy left that altar like a spear. It moved toward you, it approached your field, and then in a fraction of a second it hit something it couldn't penetrate. It bounced. Not slowly, not softly. It ricocheted violently, the way a bullet bounces off a tank. The practitioner felt it immediately, sudden pain in the chest, breath catching, a shock wave through the body. Experienced practitioners know the difference between a spell that misses and a spell that returns. This didn't miss. It detonated on contact and turned around. The practitioner tried emergency protection. They lit different candles, attempted shielding prayers, performed blocking rites they'd learned for moments like this. But timing matters. Once that kind of force is in motion, you can't politely ask it to stop. And when returned energy comes back amplified, it does not discriminate. It strikes everyone who signed their name to the operation, the practitioner who performed it, and the person who financed it. 3 days later, the attacker received a call. It was the practitioner, but the voice didn't sound the same. Weak, urgent, afraid. "Come immediately," they said. Something went wrong. When the attacker arrived, the practitioner looked sick. Weight lost quickly. Dark circles under the eyes. Skin pale. Hands trembling. It was like the body had aged years in days. The practitioner's voice was rough as they spoke the words that should have ended the obsession right there. "The person you asked me to target carries protection I have never seen in decades. It doesn't just block, it counterattacks. The work failed and returned multiplied. It's destroying everything." The attacker laughed at first, nervous and offended. "You're exaggerating. They're just a normal person." The practitioner's eyes sharpened with fear and irritation. A normal person does not make operations explode. A normal person does not have protective forces. A normal person does not carry protection that responds without delay. That person is not normal. "Then fix it," the attacker demanded. "I paid you a fortune." The practitioner answered with the kind of honesty only fear can force out of someone. "There is no amount of money you could pay me to continue. I'm trying to survive the return. You should be doing the same." But obsession doesn't listen. Obsession hears no as an insult. It hears warning as weakness. The attacker, furious about losing 3 months of salary without getting the outcome they imagined, went searching for someone darker, someone stronger, someone more expensive. They found another practitioner with a heavier reputation. They told the story. They showed your photo. They offered to pay double. The second practitioner looked at the image, then at the attacker, and delivered a warning that should have ended the story. If the first operation failed that violently, there is a reason. Souls protected at that level are not meant to be attacked. Then they added, "If you insist, I can attempt something, but I cannot guarantee your safety." Obsessive hatred heard only one part. I can attempt something, and so the second practitioner worked. Darker methods, longer nights, riskier invocations, forces that are whispered about, not casually named. They launched what they believed could penetrate anything. It lasted hours, and then it returned. The second practitioner suffered a sudden cardiac event. They survived, but they walked away from the work for good, shaken to their core, because there are moments when even the boldest operator realizes they have touched something beyond their control. Now we arrive at the part that closes the circle, the part that changes the way people understand consequence. 5 days later, the attacker began to feel symptoms. Headaches that didn't respond to medication, nausea without cause, weakness spreading through the body like something draining the battery of life itself. They went to doctors. Tests were done. Something appeared that shouldn't have been there. Weeks earlier, they had been fine. Now there were complications with no clear origin. Treatment began, but it was as if the body was shutting down in a sequence. Hospitalization, critical decline, multiple systems failing, no history, no risk factors, no explanation that satisfied anyone. And then, weeks later, death. The official language was clinical. Multiple organ failure of unknown cause. The family was shocked. Friends couldn't understand how it happened so quickly. But the first practitioner, when they heard, simply nodded, because they understood something the others didn't. The energy returned, and it did what returned energy does. It collected what was owed. It wasn't a dramatic lightning bolt from the sky. It wasn't a theatrical punishment. It was consequence, precise and slow, like a debt being paid back day by day until nothing was left. When destructive intent is sent into the world and meets superior protection, it does not evaporate. It goes back, heavier than before, carrying the weight of the sender's own command. And you kept living. Maybe you noticed you were tired and brushed it off. Maybe you had strange dreams and forgot them by noon. Maybe you felt watched and told yourself you were imagining it. But your spirit knew. Your system registered every attempt. Your protection neutralized the operation without you lifting a finger. Because here is the final truth, the one that changes everything. You are not an ordinary soul who got lucky. You carry a kind of protection that functions automatically, even when you're distracted, even when you don't believe in it, even when you're not thinking about spiritual things at all. It is built into your path. And why would someone have that level of protection? Not because you are superior in some childish sense, not because you are better than others, but because you carry responsibility. Before you came here, you agreed to something. You volunteered for a mission that requires endurance. You agreed to be light in a place where light is challenged. You agreed to keep moving forward in a world where many people collapse. And the forces that authorized your path ensured you would have what you need to complete it. That includes protection strong enough to survive the inevitable attacks that come toward anyone who shines. People who shine are always targeted, always. Some people will smile at you while hoping your light dims. Some people will support you publicly while resenting you privately. Some people will try to pull you down because they can't imagine climbing. It's not a question of whether attacks will come, it's a question of when. And when they come, your protection doesn't just defend. It answers. It returns. It teaches. Not out of revenge, out of order, out of balance, out of cosmic law that does not negotiate. It leaves no room for error. It doesn't care about excuses. It doesn't care about tears after the fact. It responds to intent. Now maybe you understand why your life has been hard but never finished. Why you've walked through things that should have destroyed you and somehow emerged stronger. Why people who tried to bury you ended up digging their own hole. Why doors closed and you still found a way. Why storms hit and you still stood. It wasn't random. It wasn't luck. It was design. Your nature is built to endure. So listen carefully. Chosen one. Because this is the truth you've been circling around. It wasn't that someone tried to curse you and it casually failed. It's that someone hated you so much they spent a fortune, secured your photo, brought it to 2 different practitioners. And both attempts didn't just fail. They backfired with force so severe that there is a death in this story. And that death is not you. The attacker confused your kindness with weakness, your silence with ignorance, your peace with vulnerability. They believed your calm meant you were unguarded. They believed your softness meant you could be broken. They thought you wouldn't notice. They thought you wouldn't survive. They thought you were just human. Just another person on the timeline, just another face on a screen. They were wrong. You cannot be handled the way they imagined. You cannot be dragged down the way they hoped. You cannot be erased. Because you are not standing alone, your life is not running on human strength only. There is a defense system woven into your path, activated the moment you agreed to come here. Anyone who attacks you isn't only attacking a person, they are colliding with a structure, a covenant, an intelligence that responds with precision. Your photo can be placed in the hands of the most powerful practitioner on earth. They can light their candles, speak their words, call whatever they call. But there are protections that do not originate in this world and therefore cannot be controlled by this world. That is why the operation collapsed. That is why it returned. That is why the sender couldn't hold what they tried to throw. If you've made it this far, you're not listening by accident. If something in your body has been signaling you recently, if you felt drained without cause, if your dreams have carried strange intensity, if you've sensed spiritual pressure, understand this. You're not being punished. You're being defended. Your system is not asleep. Your guardians are not late. Your field is not empty. Write 777 in the comments if you claim that protection consciously. Not because a number is magic, but because your intention matters. Your recognition matters. Your agreement matters. When you speak your awareness, you strengthen your alignment. When you refuse fear, you refuse access. When you hold your ground, you confirm what the attack already discovered. You are not easy to reach. Subscribe and keep your notifications on if you want more revelations like this. Because what you don't see is not always what isn't there. Many of the battles you're winning are happening outside your physical sight. Share this with someone who feels spiritual pressure and doesn't know how to name it, because there are people walking around thinking they're just tired, thinking they're just stressed, when the truth is their protection is working overtime and they need to remember who they are. And before you leave, click the next video on your screen, because I'm going to show you something even deeper. How your simple existence, your refusal to dim, your decision to keep rising, has been collapsing dark structures around you without you needing to fight publicly, without you needing to shout, without you needing to fire a single conscious shot. Together, we are stronger.